Hello, testing. Perfect. All right, welcome to the Dania Beach Community Redevelopment Agency regular meeting. It's Wednesday, September 13th, 2023, a little past 5:30. Alora, can we please have a roll call?
Yes. Chair Ryan?
Here.
Vice Chair Llewellyn?
Here.
Board Member Davis? Here. Board Member James?
Here.
Board Member Salvino?
Here.
Executive Director Chen?
Here.
City Attorney Bootsas?
Here.
Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, are there any citizens' comments? All right, I don't see any citizen comments. So we'll move right on to administrative reports. Mr. Chen?
Thank you, Chair Ryan. We have some progress in our innovation ecosystem development. I have advised you that we're working now we're hopefully just a few days out from being able to move into the satellite office building with the incubator. I understand they're waiting for their last inspection to get their certificate of occupancy. Meanwhile, we're working together with the landlord and FIU and Dan Marino Foundation to set up a date for a grand opening event for that location. In my summary, I had described this as probably late October. Right now, it's looking like probably more like early November. It seems like late October, everybody in Broward County is having some kind of event going on, including the boat show and the Alliance annual dinner and so forth. So we'll probably have to do this in November. I have advised you that we're taking an exhibitor's table at the FITSE event, which is October 4th and 5th at the Greater Fort Lauderdale Broward County Convention Center. In addition to the FIU manning that exhibitor's table with us to announce the FIU incubator in Dania Beach, the Dan Marino Foundation is also going to join us at that table, basically to announce their entry into Dania Beach. And Dan Marino Foundation continues to look for appropriate space for their offices. I think they're going to have at least one representative office in our office with the incubator, but they're actually looking for a more substantial facility to move the bulk, if not all, of their operations to Dania Beach. The CRA has identified a small parcel of land that would be advantageous to acquire. The timing of the potential acquisition and so forth is unknown at this time, but it could be with somewhat limited advance notice. So with that, I'd like to take a polled consensus of your approval for me to pursue the acquisition of that piece of land.
Okay, you have a consensus.
Thank you very much. This is a reminder that the CRA board workshop for the West First Avenue visioning plan is confirmed for Wednesday, September 20th, 5:30 to 7:30. The meeting notice was circulated to you as board members. We have also engaged Multimedia, which is a video production company. This is going to be a significant change to our downtown, West First Avenue, and I thought that the visioning process warrants being documented. So we'll create a video of that process, and then we'll also do a follow-up engagement to do the construction so that we'll have the full story to tell on our websites. I am continuing to accrue and gather information to provide you a comparative analysis of the prospective Sterling Road site for the patch versus the current location. It is taking a bit longer than I expected, and I apologize for that. I will tell you one of the complications is that the Sterling Road property has some issues in identifying a correct legal description for the property. And the surveyor is having trouble identifying what it is he's supposed to survey. So he's been doing all kinds of research to get a correct legal description. That has been part of the delay in this, and I apologize for that. I do hope to have a report for you to discuss in October. Last month, I mentioned to you that we have made some submissions to the Festivals and Events Association, FIFA, for Sensational Awards. Um, I now have the results of this. We actually made 7 applications and entries, and we made a clean sweep. We received 4 first place and 3 second place awards. Every one of our submissions received a first or second place and award. And that's the administrative report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chen. Now we have presentations. And our presentation is regarding 509-511 Northwest 3rd Terrace. It's to turn the 2 duplex rehabs to low-income affordable housing.
If I may just do a quick introduction to this, this is a property that was owned by the city for a number of years, then transferred to the CRA, who owned it for a number of years, and it was going into disrepair. With your approval, we moved forward and put it out on an RFP so that it had to be rehabbed and redeveloped as a low-income affordable duplex property, which it has been done. And the contract award through the RFP process was given to Turn 2 Construction. And here to start the presentation is Christina.
Hello, please state your name and address.
Good afternoon. My name is Christina Anthony. I'm at 6601 Northwest 14th Street, Plantation. Thank you. Good afternoon to everyone. We appreciate the opportunity to be here to talk about our project. Before I wanted to start, I wanted to introduce my team. I have with me Brian Cunningham. He does business here with the city of Dania Beach and was very effective at helping us connect with the city. He was also a prior resident. We have Alicia Howard on my team as well. And we also brought with us 2 of our members, Mark and Monique, who helps with the first-time homebuyer classes, and that's been a big part of finding the 80% low-income buyers. So I wanted to come here and really just show, after we received the project, kind of the progress of completion, so that you guys can see what you were able to help make happen for the community not too far from here. So I put together some pictures, and please feel free to drive by if you want access to the property. We'd love to show you what it looks like and what we were able to do. If you can recall, when we put this project and came to commission for approval, the consensus after looking at some of the pictures was that it looked like it needed to be knocked down completely versus rehab. But this is what a good rehab can do if you put the work in, money in it, and gut it out. So we went with this design. What we really liked about the design, it was a contemporary look. We did get some feedback with the renderings from some of the local neighbors that was excited about making a change and having that property that didn't have a lot of attention finally get some attention. So they were really excited about the design. We used some modern features. We used energy efficiency when looking at the lighting, picking the coloring. There's impact windows. There is smart key locks. We went ahead and the neighbor next door was very happy. Their fence was falling over, so we removed their fence and gave the entire property brand new fence to the entire round of the property. As you can see there, we made sure to just really give it a better curb appeal for that entire block. So as mentioned, the neighbors really excited about that. Here's just a few pictures just of what the property looks like. One of the things that we were able to do is put together a property owners association. So there will be a groundsman that'll keep the upkeep of the property throughout the life of the project. So we want to make sure not only that we get started to keep this project beautiful, but we want to keep it beautiful for the lifetime. Here's just some of the interior pictures. This is one of the photos of what it looked like. It was filled with garbage. There was holes in the roof. There was just a lot going on. And we were able to kind of open it up, tear out all that drywall. We have new electrical, new plumbing, new AC, everything in there is brand new. We were able to separate the plumbing, so both units now have that separation as well. One of the highlights that we're really excited about with this project is it was a 2-1. And we were able to, because of the age of the home, typically back in the day, those homes, the rooms were pretty sizable. We were able to use, in the master bedroom, add both a walk-in closet and an additional bedroom. So that master bedroom now has its own bathroom as well. So it's a 2-2. So that was really exciting to add value to the project and increase its value overall. Here's some of the design of it. This is actually a picture of the property, and all we did was just add some furniture for just that overall view for the buyers. We went with two different, although the layouts are the same, we went with two different designs, one more on the modern side and one that farmhouse look. So you'll see slightly different coloring on the different projects, but this is one of the homes, the living room and the bathroom, and so you can see that walk-in closet and bathroom that was added in the bedroom is still pretty standard size right now with what master bedrooms are built at currently. We went with some, modern features for the kitchen. There's the picture of the walk-in closet and the bathroom. So we wanted to not only just provide a affordable housing product, redevelopment product, but actually put a little money into it, put some thought in mind with the design, especially when it comes to, providing a nice product for those buyers and their families. Something I wanted to highlight as well is we did throw, as I mentioned, first-time home buyer classes. This is a picture of an event. We actually hosted one right here in Dania Beach, and we wanted to highlight the project. We wanted to educate the buyers more about redevelopment projects, more about new construction projects. As you know, what's going on in the market on MLS, anything that's listed, it's very unaffordable. So during a portion of the construction phase where it was safe and everything was closed up, we did host a class where we actually rented out space in the Dania Beach Library to educate them on the classes, and they had an 8-hour certification. And in a part of that class, they did a site visit of the property to see kind of the phase. We provided pictures, we explained the redevelopment process and the type of loan products that can be available to them. So that they can find opportunities where they can actually afford. So what makes our first-time homebuyer class a little different is instead of just educating them about what's going on in the home buying market, we wanted to show them how they can actually find opportunities because realtors right now just can't find good, affordable products on that's in their budget right now. So we also, thank you to Vice Mayor. We hosted and we were able to provide a lunch at the restaurant there at Cafe Artesinos Lounge. So she was gracious enough to help host that lunch, and they were really excited and appreciative of that. We received some sponsorships to make that happen and get everyone fed after a long day in the heat looking at a construction project and sitting in a classroom. So that was really exciting for us. And then towards the end, I just want to highlight Commissioner Davis stopping by to also check out the property. So as mentioned, please, it is open for everyone to view and look at. And we'd love to have everyone kind of see the project. So if there's any questions.
Any questions? Commissioner James?
I don't have any
Board member?
questions. More so of a comment. I've watched this property over several years decline in different commissions try to decide what to do with it. And I'm so happy that you all have revitalized this and made it a place where the people that are in that community can afford to live there. Great job by you and your team on the facelift and everything else because it's definitely going to add value to that community, that street, in that area. So thank you.
I'd also like to add to that. In the community, we wanted to highlight that we were able to find local contractors that lived right there on the street that are our neighbors, and we utilized and hired them for that work. So that was really awesome. It allowed them kind of to invest in the project as well and look out for the project, when we weren't there. So that was really a big highlight for us that we were excited about.
Board Member Davis?
Yes, I did have the opportunity to tour the property firsthand, and it was just absolutely stunning. I really can't say enough of from what Michael and what you just showed from the before to what the after is. Just top-notch appliances, a lot of quality that went into the work. It's a model for what can be done for affordable housing, and I really just want to commend you and your team for just going above and beyond to really make this something that is going to be beneficial for our community and the residents who come to it. I do know that you were having some challenges because I was putting, I know you've done different hosting events to help people be able to afford to buy this duplex, and I had people who were interested, but the 80% kind of has been a challenge. Can you speak to that a little bit, and is there anything that we can do on our end to assist you with that challenge?
Absolutely. So, in addition to us being in the, hosting our own first-time home buyers, we've also partnered with other HUD counseling agencies to source through their list. One of the things that's happened in the current market that's really thrown things off is the cost of homeowners insurance. That's been a big thing, and then obviously mortgage interest rates. So, although the cost of the home and the subsidy funds does make the project affordable, when you do add those two numbers, it's been really throwing the things out of the whack for those clients. We've had several offers. We get phone calls daily on the project, cash buyers, investors, and then folks that think that they're at that 80% AMI. One of the challenges with all of the 80% folks that think they're at the 80% AMI is something may have changed in their income recently. And even though last year their numbers does show that they would have qualified, something recent, whether it be a pay increase or whatnot, has made them above that amount. So we've had, I could probably say 10 offers where they thought they were at 80% and they all income overed. So I know recently the state did change, what those thresholds were to kind of look at 120% and 140% AMI. We are still working as hard as we can to find this 80% AMI buyer threshold. And we have 2 more people that were just added to the list going through the process now. So more to come on that, but that's kind of something new with the market. And we're talking to other banks on additional grant funds to see if we can find other ways to subsidize the project outside of the $80,000 that's given. But yeah, it's been a challenge for sure.
Thank you.
I want to verify, how much are you asking for the house? What's the asking price?
So for the end user, the buyer's cost would be $255.
Okay,
And the appraisal amount that it came out to, we had cut up a couple of appraisals. It would show that with the 80,000 subsidy, there'd be over $100,000 in equity when purchasing the home. So we're under the purchasing amount that's going on in that market now, and with what money we put into it. But even at the 255 mark, we're just still catching above that 80% threshold. It seems to be the 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Evaluation with that as well also kind of skews it. If it was maybe a 3-bedroom, it could be possible, but we're working through some of those things, and we're working with a couple of agencies that's trying to figure out the sweet spot.
so your challenge is to find a qualified buyer.
Yeah,
That's the
at
challenge.
80%. Yeah, there's not a lot of folks right now at the 80% that can qualify for
That
a
can
mortgage.
afford it,
Yeah,
okay.
with insurance and stuff. So there's lenders changing some of their products given the situation. We just actually had a call today with TD Bank where one of the things they're doing is they're paying for the insurance, a part of the insurance. So that's a subsidy that they add. Some banks add an additional $10,000 in grant funds. So they're trying to create these programs for low to moderate income. So we're working with them as well on this analysis. So it's just in the progress.
Thank you. Board Member James?
Thank you. What's the proper terminology for what it's called? Is it a condo because you're trying to own it? I know it's a duplex, but
Yeah, we're calling it a villa. So
a villa. Okay.
yeah, so they'll own each side and then they share the general areas, backyard and the sides.
Okay.
Mhm.
And the only thing, it can only be home ownership, correct?
Yeah, we are pushing for it to be a home ownership product.
So you say pushing, is that
Well, we've had a lot of investors that are interested in the project and would rent it at 80% AMI. But one of our main goals and something that we presented to the commission
Mhm.
is promoting home ownership. So
Yes.
we want to make sure we exhaust that before we have those conversations.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner, Board Member Salvino?
Just a quick question on, because you separate those out, and I heard you mention that you have like a HOA in there. Is that what you said, that somebody takes care of the property and so on?
Mhm.
How do you assess that a particular property to the homeowner once they purchase the property? If they're,
Yeah, so we were able to avoid the actual term of the HOA, which comes with a lot more agreement language, et cetera. And we went with the Property Owners Association, so we had an attorney draft that up. And it's just really to define the separation of who owns what side, similar to like a condo. And then we have a groundsman that takes care of the
Who
grass.
yeah, but my question is that once they buy it, who maintains, your groundsmen maintain it? Do they get assessed for that?
Yes, so there's a monthly fee that goes towards that
Do you know what
cost.
that monthly fee is
Yeah, $50.
per person?
Yes.
What, come to your house for $50 a month?
So it's $255 per side?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you
Awesome.
very much for your
Thank you
presentation.
for your time. Appreciate it.
Chair, if I may, I'd
Sure.
like to add something to this because this is not only a very successful conversion, they did a fabulous job on this rehab. And when their description was it had holes in the roof, we're not talking about the roof leaking. You could actually see daylight through the roof. And they have taken this and made it a very nice piece of property. But in addition to that, through doing this project, Turn 2 Construction has received an identity across Broward County as being a viable low-income home builder. And so they are expanding their reach across the county because they built a reputation on our property. And I think they should be congratulated for that as well.
Board Member James?
Yes, and this is for Director Chin. Have you thought about putting these images um, on social media, something that we can all share with our different audiences that we have? Because I'm sure, I know that you guys are doing the outreach, but I know that I also know people that probably have no idea that this is what it is. And so if you can put something out on social media that we can then share with our different platforms and our reach to possibly help Brian and his team, I think that would be beneficial.
We'd be happy to do some additional promotion to help get recognition for the property.
Vice Chair?
We do have a director of communications now.
Right.
That might have some ideas for that as well.
I'll talk with Nanette about
Yes.
that.
Okay, are we looking for a consensus, Director Chen? Is that what you, previously? No?
No, this was just
Okay.
a presentation. All
Okay.
the action's been done.
All right, wonderful. Thank you very much. Now on to the consent agenda. Are there any items that we wish to pull from the consent agenda? No? All right. I have a motion from Board Member James, sorry.
Second.
And I have a second from Vice Mayor Llewellyn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. Consent agenda passes. For our item 6, we don't have any proposals and bids. Now for item 7, discussion and possible action. We'll start with the fiscal year 2024 CRA budget.
Thank you, Chair. This is the continuation of the budget workshop that we had on July 11th. The budget that is attached to this memo is exactly the same line item numbers that were discussed at our July 11th meeting. The only numbers that were changed at all is working with finance. They have provided definition and line item cost of the wages and benefits piece. In our July 11th presentation, we just did lump sum numbers. But now they've been broken off to show the line item cost for each of the benefits associated with our wages, and then the actual budget transfers between the city and the CRA and the CRA to the patch. Those are now all updated to reflect the balance of the budget. But for our projects, line item expenses and so forth, all of them are exactly the same as we discussed on July 11th. I would also like to bring to your attention that the proposed budget that you have before you was based on goals and objectives of the adopted 2023 CRA plan. It is also reflecting the implementation action plan that I did a presentation on before you, basically to show how we would undertake and implement the upcoming 2023 CRA plan. I have talked with various of you, various members of the board here, about your ideas and objectives, and I've tried to reflect any of those conversations in this budget. And the final piece is that it did reflect our discussions on a July 11th board budget workshop. With that, I think it's just up for your discussion then.
Discussion? No? There we go. Board Member James?
Sorry. Okay. Thank you. I don't know the answer off the top of my head. How much money did we put into the budget for the facade grant?
Just a moment, I'll provide you the answer.
And
Facade grant is up for $55,000 in the budget.
okay, did we exhaust all of the monies from last year's budget for the facade grant?
We have not. The actual applications for facade grant for the past 2 years has been rather sparse, largely because of COVID and economic conditions and so forth. But we are starting to receive facade grant applications now. And in fact, that is also on our agenda again for a discussion about your approval of one facade grant that's on our board now. I'm also looking to bring another facade grant application to you at the October meeting.
Okay, I just asked that because I ran into a business owner and they were told that we had no more money for the facade grant. I thought it was odd because I know that we didn't have a lot. So you'll probably be receiving more applications for that. In the budget, is there that lighting? So you did a presentation before, and it had different types of lighting on Federal Highway that kind of has said Dania Beach. Where are we in that process? And did we budget for that?
Well, we budgeted for the I guess for the conceptual design of it. Um, the first piece was to actually be able to work with FDOT as to what they would allow to be posted along the Federal Highway corridor, what kind of actual designs for the signage needs to be done for hanging them on either existing poles or new poles to be done, what would be the locations of them. And we have the contract with Calvin Giordano. That's part of the contract that's described as the branding initiative and wayfinding signage. So we have that the initial part to do the conceptual piece of it. Once they identify the kind of signs, where they can go and that type of stuff, then they'll come back to do an engineering contract to actually design the signage for manufacturing.
What is the timeline on it? Because this was a similar update from the last time.
Yes, it is. It is something that will be part of the visioning process discussions, but also part of because the city is also undergoing a citywide wayfinding signage program, and one of the mandates was that we need to make sure there's close coordination between the CRA and the city's process. So that is all part of it, and we look to move that along. Um, the current target date for the for the adoption of the vision plan is at our February meeting. So we have a target date so that we can talk about the next step, which would be developing a construction contract. I would expect that we should have some definition on those signs at the same time.
Okay, and then we have nothing in the budget for the actual construction. Do we need to put something in the budget? Or are we going to have to wait until the next October to be able to fund something?
There's nothing in the budget because Calvin Giordano has no idea. In fact, I tried to get an estimate from them, but they have no idea what the cost of the design will be because they don't know what FDOT's going to require. And I mentioned at the contract that we did for Calvin Giordano that when we move to the next step of the actual engineering piece of it, that would require a budget transfer, as well as the actual construction of both the streetscape as well as the construction of the signage would require a budget transfer
From the city to the CRA.
from the city to the CRA. And we did talk about it. There's been some discussions about some of this might be eligible for some of our ARPA funds. And we're also working to apply for a C-SLIP grant from the MPO. And you just approved the resolution on a consent agenda where basically you're giving us the approval to make the application for that grant.
Okay, so Frank, if we need the budget transfer, we're not gonna have any issues? I just don't wanna get into February and then we're discussing whether or not we're gonna get the budget transfer for the project.
Well, how much funding are we potentially looking at?
I mean, we don't even have, I would
We don't
assume
know.
that some other city has done something similar, so we should be able to have some type of dollar number. But we don't have anything, so that's my concern, is that we have a blank budget for something, and I don't want it to get to the part of the visioning process and we approve something and then we can't fund it for another year.
It really is up to you all to decide if a project comes forward that is feasible and it's something that there's an appetite to move forward, then it would be up to you all to appropriate the funding. And if you were interested in moving forward, we could, point and recommend some options for funding at that time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion?
There is a resolution attached if you want to take action on it, and if you'd like, I could read the title.
Please.
It's a resolution of the Board of Directors of the CRA of the City of Dania Beach adopting the final estimate of revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year commencing on October 1st, 2023 and ending on September 30th, 2024, appropriating funds as may be needed or deemed necessary to defray expenditures and liabilities of the CRA for the fiscal year, providing for conflicts and an effective date.
Discussion? Vice Mayor? Vice Chair?
That's okay. Do we need to make a motion?
Yes.
I'll move to approve it.
All right, I have a motion from Vice Chair, and I have a second from Board Member Davis. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, resolution passes. 7.3.
7.2.
Oh, it's 7.2, the facade grant's not in it.
Yes, this is actually a continuation from our last meeting. This is on the facade grant for 50 East Dania Beach Boulevard. You raised a question about what is the intended use of that property once these improvements are done. The owner has executed a lease with a restaurant operator. It will be returned as a restaurant building once it's improved.
Do we know what kind of restaurant? Just kidding. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was like Turkish or something. Yeah, I thought it was Middle Eastern.
I've heard a perhaps name of the restaurant being Grandma's Secret.
It is. That's what's on the building.
So yeah, I think it'll be kind of a light fare type of restaurant with coffee and breakfast type of foods and sandwiches through the day.
Board Member James?
Oh, it was actually about the last item, but for this one, did we ever look into the art or what's on the walls and what did we decide? Is that considered art? I did receive phone calls from some residents saying that art's popping all up over the place and we haven't seen it at the meeting, so just want to make sure that we're being consistent. Is it considered art or not considered art? I don't know. You're the art liaison, Board Member Davis. No.
Actual design, I can bring it to the, that's what it appears to me, but I can verify that with the, we have a meeting on Monday with the Public Art Board, and so we can confirm with the consultant, but it looks like an architectural design instead of public art.
Okay. And my other question was before this, I saw it as we were voting. What do we decide about the social media contract now that we have a marketing person? Because we have $40,000 in the budget for CRA social media, and we did discuss maybe having one person to do both across the board since we have that in house. So what what are your thoughts on that? Are we going to be utilizing Nanette or
Yeah,
are we going to do it
I think
differently?
we agreed we're going to utilize Nanette more when it comes to the CRA because it goes.
So then,
Yeah, it's not too hard for her to switch over different platforms from CRA to the city of Dania Beach.
If I may
Please.
also provide some answer to that question, the $40,000 under the CRA budget for this is also for the maintenance of our website.
we were
Yeah,
talking
the
about that.
social media posting is part of that, but it's really for the maintenance of our website. That's the bulk of that cost.
Okay, I just knew that that was also a conversation that we were talking about. Whoever was going to like to have it seamless, consistent, and it seems like I know that we're our own agency, and I understand the independence and the separation that has to happen there. But when it comes down to being user friendly and our residents being able to access our platforms, it's two completely different types of sites and how it works. And so I would just urge us to really look into whoever is going to be maintaining and doing our website as the city to be kind of consistent and across the board. I think that we are duplicating efforts when it comes down to that portion of it.
If I may, it's a little bit early for the news, but I like to keep you in the loop and up to date. Uh, I have met with Frank and with Nanette and IT about my interest in improving and updating the CRA website. There is money in our budget for improving the CRA website. Basically, I think our conclusion is we're going to turn to the city and try to rebuild the CRA website on the same platform as the city. However, the style and the target audience for the CRA website is slightly different than a city. So I am working on developing an RFP for consulting services on how we design the content of the CR website that would be built on the city platform, and with the idea that it would reduce our maintenance cost overall and make them consistent with the same consultants.
Thank you.
Board Member Salvino?
Are we on the facade grant?
Still on the facade grant.
Okay. Just have a question, we'll stick, now that we know what that particular facade grant is for, obviously it's the right position. The one question I always have is, when you get estimates, and I see there's two estimates in here, and I didn't know if we had requirements, and we always have to get 3 bids from our other things that we do. Sometimes I have a feeling that sometimes the bids are a little bit, whatever, but I just want to bring that to your attention that maybe we should have a little thing in place for future facade grants that we may have some form of formula that we might be able to make sure that we're getting accurate and real true estimates from companies. That's all. Thank you.
And if I may address that issue, I've had several meetings with our finance department in terms of making sure that we're mitigating any risk associated with that where possible. Originally, in fact, in the earlier version, 3 construction estimates were required. And this has been one of the challenges of us getting facade grant applications because with the constrictions and tightness of our construction industry these days, it's very difficult for people to get these construction estimates. So Frank agreed that we could, with reasonable risk mitigation, that we could accept just 2 um, estimates. And also, the grant itself, as I presented to you and as it's presented here, it is basically a 50% match of actual expenses that's verified by paid receipts or the limit, whichever is lowest. So that is the second part of our risk mitigation, that if in fact the actual cost is below their estimates, we only paying 50% of that of the actual cost.
I make a motion we pass item 7.3. 2.
7.2, I have a motion for item 7.2. Do I have a second? I have a second from Vice Chair. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. You guys have it. Item 7.2 passes. Now on to item 7.3. Eve, if you could, please read it.
A resolution of the Board of Directors of the CRA authorizing the proper CRA officials to execute a 2-year extension of the Executive Director, Michael K. Chen's employment agreement, provided for conflicts and an effective date. I prepared the memo. There is no change in the salary. There are no change in any of the terms of the agreement, other than he's requesting a 2-year extension of the contract, which expires on November 15th, excuse me.
Discussion? Of motion?
Approve.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion from Vice Chair,
Second.
and I have a second from Board Member Salvino. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, the ayes have it.
One no.
And one opposed, okay? So 4 ayes and 1 opposed from Board Member James. All right. Now on to Board Member comments, and we will start with you, Board Member Davis. Any comments?
I gave my comments earlier. I'm just really excited about the affordable housing and the great job that Turn 2 Construction did. So with that, great job all around. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Board Member James.
No comments.
No comments. Board Member Salvino.
I love my city. Thank you.
All right. Board Member Salvino, thank you. Vice Chair.
Ditto. I have no other comments, thanks.
Wonderful. Okay. Yeah, my comments, I'll keep it brief. Mr. Chen, it's a pleasure to have you on for another 2 years. Look forward to working with you more in the future. I know that our CRA has had some struggles recently, and I look forward to seeing us excel even more, and helping our businesses and those that need our help the most in the CRA district. With that, I will end my comments. And it looks like we don't have any information items, so meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.